Welcome to another edition of the Hawk Off the Press podcast. I'm your host, Gazette Hawkeyes reporter, Jon Steppe. I'm excited to be joined by Jon Budmayr, now the Iowa wide receivers coach. Jon, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be on.
So you kind of had an interesting journey here at Iowa. You go from volunteer assistant to analyst to senior special assistant to the head coach to wide receiver coach in, I think, if I can do my math right, a 2-year process. What's kind of these past 2 years been like for you?
They've been enjoyable for me. One of the things that, I've mentioned in the past that was important to me coming off of our time at Colorado State was wanted to take an opportunity where I knew I was going to be around really good people, and you spend so much time with the staff and the interaction with the people in this profession that I knew that was an important piece to it for me. And I had known Coach Ferentz for a long time, having gotten recruited from him out of high school, and knew from afar just the type of person he was. I'd heard certainly great things about the guys on staff, and wanted to take advantage of the opportunity when it presented itself. And I had gotten to know Brian fairly well several years before when I was at Wisconsin. And so, those things all aligned, and that's what brought me here, and was fortunate for the opportunity when it came about. And then just tried to maximize, what it was during those times of each different phase. First getting here, understanding who Iowa is, seeing it from afar, competing against them, and having a ton of respect for them, but then understanding the inner workings of the day to day, and just trying to dive into that and be a part of it, and help in any way that I could early on. And then, fortunately was able to stay on for another year after that first season, and continue to help and try to progress as well as I could, continuing to grow as a coach and a person, but also try to impact it as positively as I could. And then, like I said, this past year, Coach Ferentz making the decision to move me into that wide receivers role. I'm incredibly thankful for that. I'm excited for the opportunity, and it's been fun these last 6 months getting started with the guys, and still got a lot of work to go, but been fortunate to be here.
Am I remembering correctly that when you first made the move to Iowa, it was at kind of an interesting time with your family? Wasn't your wife like 8.5 months pregnant or
She
something?
was. Yeah. She was the rock of the family there, and continues to be. But she was 8.5, about 8.5 months pregnant with our son Jack at the time. And I moved here in February, and she was continuing to get everything situated out in Colorado, get the house sold. We had everything pretty much moved up and packed up, but get the movers in and out. And then she got here April 1st, and we had our son at the end of the month. So it was a pretty quick transition for her. But she's been incredible throughout, and always is. And now we've had one. Our daughter was born in Madison. Our son was born in Iowa City. So we got a couple of the Big Ten represented.
And then was that kind of a hard sell to sell your wife on, hey, I know we're going through this big family stuff, but there's this opportunity to Iowa. It's not paid right now yet.
Right. It's a unique profession in the sense that you never know what opportunities are going to come about at what time. And so like in that time, we didn't have a job after we got let go at Colorado State. So you're searching, trying to find the right fit, trying to be aggressive in the sense that you don't want to just wait too long. Obviously we had a life situation that was about to change for us, having a baby born, but she's been incredibly supportive since day one. We've been together for 16 years now. And so she's known, every step of the way that December, January, February is always a unique time. Whether you have a job or you don't have a job, it's certainly a lot more pressure when you don't have one, because you're searching. And during that time, I thought we grew really close, and there was great understanding and support. And biggest thing was just getting her somewhere where she could be comfortable that last month of pregnancy, and then had incredible support here at the hospital, getting the baby born.
And then with that year as an offensive coordinator at Colorado State, what's kind of the biggest thing you took away from that experience?
The opportunity, I was so excited for it when it came about. Did a lot of thinking before taking it, leaned on Coach Chris, who had been my position coach coordinator when I played. I had learned under him as a coach, kind of grew up through the coaching tree with him as my mentor. And when the opportunity came about, we thought, both of us agreed that it was a great timing, great opportunity for the first one to come, and went and took it, and I learned a ton. There's so much that you think, you're excited about becoming a play caller, but then there's more to it than just the Saturdays in which you're calling the plays. You obviously have to be prepared for that, and you have to have a sense of calmness and readiness and preparation that I was certainly ready for. But then the day-to-day, the week-to-week, different phases throughout the year, pre-spring ball, spring ball, May evaluation period, summer preparations, getting ready for fall camp meetings. You're now coordinating the system, and so you have coaches underneath you, making sure that each guy on staff is detailed with what we're doing, what we're trying to get done, and on the same page and working collaboratively to accomplish the same goal. And so that was fun for me, because I enjoyed that piece to it. You got your hand in every single position room. You want to make sure that each thing is being communicated the right way, and so there's just a lot more on your plate, and so that was fun for me to experience that and to see what all goes into it. And obviously it was wish it would have been a longer stint than what it was, but that year was invaluable. Learned a ton.
You seem to have coached at like every level, short of being a college head coach. You've been a coordinator, you've been a position coach, you've been an analyst. Is there one that you've kind of enjoyed the most?
I think all of them I've enjoyed, because at the end of the day, when you get into this, for me personally, I'm a teacher at heart, and so being a teacher, you want to, as effectively and efficiently as you can, communicate information to your players, and that it's very rewarding when you have a chance to develop them on and off the field, and continue to help them progress, not only through this phase that they're in right now of being 18 to 23-year-old kids to guys, but also on the field and seeing them develop and get better and improve. And it doesn't matter which phase you're in at that. I think you always have an opportunity to teach and to help guys improve. I do think that being a coordinator has helped me be a much better position coach, just because you can anticipate what the coordinator needs. You can anticipate what's on his plate, and I think that when you go through those phases, each time that you're in a different one that was maybe below it, it makes you a better version of that, because like I said, you kind of know what, and you can anticipate what's on his plate, what you can help with, what you can try and be ready for down the line and be ahead of, so that we can all work more efficiently.
Did it help in terms of, because I think some people look at your resume just on paper and you don't necessarily see a wide receiver specific position.
Right.
But with offensive coordinator, where you're overseeing the entire offense, does that help now for you as a wide receivers coach?
It definitely does. And then even my past as a quarterback coach, whether you're playing it or you're coaching it, your communication and the attention to detail, the time that's being spent with that group is so much. Like you're constantly talking through, okay, hey, this is the timeline that I'm working within my drop. This is the progression I'm working off of. Here's where you're at within the progression. I need you to win now. You're one in the progression, or you're on the backside of the progression. Take your time with it, develop your route. Don't be in a hurry. You got time. I'm coming back to you later in it. If I'm working a one-on-one and I was playing or coaching the quarterback position, getting guys to understand you don't have a ton of time at the line of scrimmage. We got to go now because there's a clock that's played with, and I think that's what gets lost at times is, you can be really, really cute with everything you're doing at the line of scrimmage, but all of a sudden there's a whole component from the quarterback's timing, a protection standpoint that you need to understand, because if you're doing all this stuff being inefficient at the line of scrimmage, and then the quarterback's off you, and now, or he's hanging on you waiting for you to win, and now we're stressing the protection. And so I think all those things that I've learned through playing the position, coaching the position at quarterback, those all carry over to the wide receiver room, because you want to be on the same page as often as you can. And like I said, you want to understand coverages, leverages, certain releases, what you have time to work a release, and then when you got to work a different release, press coverage, catch coverage, all those different things. Those are all conversations that I've had throughout my entire career with that position group, whether I was playing or coaching. And now it's fun to just be in that room and not have to be talking to multiple groups, but just be focused on them.
And then kind of taking you a little farther back down memory lane to your playing days, kind of what was that like? First of all, playing quarterback at Wisconsin and then having the injury issues and then kind of transitioning to that student assistant role.
Yeah, I was incredibly fortunate to get an opportunity to play at Wisconsin. Was recruited there by Coach Bielema. He was the head coach, and then, like I said, Coach Chris was the coordinator, quarterback coach. Went in there excited for the opportunity. Unfortunately, had some injuries that derailed my career. Had some nerve damage in my elbow. And if you're a quarterback and you have arm trouble, you're not really worth too much if you can't throw. And so, kind of worked my way through that. Had an incredible experience on the front end of the career. Was able to learn a ton through my time on the field and being around some really great players. And then once I had the injuries, transitioned into a student assistant role. I knew I wanted to get into coaching. I had to finish my degree at the time. And so that was the best opportunity for me. And during that time, there was a coaching transition. Coach Bielema had gone to Arkansas, and so Coach Anderson had come in, and they actually threw me with the special teams and tight ends. And so that was an opportunity to learn something different that I hadn't been exposed to, and spent time studying it, learning it. I knew, like I said, I wanted to coach, and at the end of the day, the best coaches are the best teachers. And so just kind of dove right into it and had a great experience there. And we were fortunate to win a lot of games and go to some pretty good bowls. Unfortunately, lost a few Rose Bowls, but the experience was awesome. And throughout the injuries, I think the biggest thing when you go through those is you want to have a good support system, whatever that may be. And I was fortunate that I had a great support system throughout it, starting with my family, my parents. I was dating my wife, Caitlin, at the time. And so she'd been there through kind of all of it. And so I was fortunate in that way to be around really good people, and our medical staff at Wisconsin did a great job taking care of me and helping me to get through that and get me to where I wanted to be, which was in the coaching profession.
Was there a point where you kind of got to a point of, I don't know if acceptance is the right word, but kind of accepting that, okay, the playing career is something that you spent so much time, I'm sure, on,
Mhm.
is kind of closing and the coaching, chapter is opening?
Yeah. It's hard to go through it. I had 4 surgeries on my elbow. I had bilateral hip surgery. I had some hip impingements that I dealt with. I had a knee surgery at one time. This was all in a span of about a year and a half, and it was hard to give it up. I didn't want to. I wanted to keep trying. I had thoughts of, okay, what can I play another position? What if my arm doesn't work? I just love the game so much. And at some point, that realization set in. My body just wasn't holding up, and I couldn't do it. And I'll never forget, and I made the phone call to my dad, and said, hey, this is it. I think I tried every which way to make this work, and I just can't do it, and I'm ready for the next step. And I think that's hard. It doesn't matter what phase of your career you're at, but when you come to that realization, it's always tough. But then it's how quick can you flip the switch onto the next thing. And I knew I wanted to get into coaching. I was passionate about that, and had a great opportunity to finish my degree and start as a student assistant at Wisconsin.
And then when you were talking about thinking about other positions, were there any that were coming to mind that you could maybe go from quarterback to?
Not many, not many. I was a kind of a gunslinger, pro style quarterback, and so it wasn't like I was a dual threat. But not, I mean, nothing significant at the time.
And then you were saying special teams and tight ends.
Yeah, that's what I started out with. So I was working special teams. I was up all night long watching, clinics on special teams, and what the positions were being asked to do. It was foreign to me as a quarterback. You never run any special teams units, maybe a holder at the most. But so I was trying to learn all of that, and then as a tight ends, it was fun for me because it was guys that I had been playing with who after I had taken the medical. The system that we were running, there was some carryover from it. And so it inside and out as a quarterback, what the details are, route running, all this stuff. And so it was fun to help them out. That wasn't too far off from when I was playing. But special teams, that was a beast. I had to learn quite a bit there to get up to speed.
Did you like request those positions, or was that just kind of what was handed to you?
That's what was handed to me. Yeah, it was. I said I'm available. I want to get into coaching. I'm taking a medical, and wherever you guys need help, I'm willing to go and learn it and help. And so that's where they had the most need at that time, and so that's the room I got put into.
Like, have you retained much of that special teams knowledge?
A little bit, like there was some stuff within the positions that I was being asked to coach at the time, with kickoff and kickoff return. There's some spots with that, but then there's other stuff where I'd be watching a clinic and maybe the only thing that I heard was spread the web on punt, and so I'd be out there yelling spread the web like this, like this is until I finally understood the details within it. I was like, you know what, if I can have one important coaching point that can help the guys. You don't want to say too much when you don't know. And so you have to learn it first and be able to understand it. But that's where I just studied it like crazy and eventually got to the point where, like I said, if you're a good teacher, then you can efficiently and effectively communicate the information needed to them. But it takes time, and that certainly took a lot of time because that was foreign to me. That wasn't like throwing a football.
I suppose you're not giving LeVar any pointers then?
No, no, no. I told him this spring, I said, I'm going to sit in on your meetings and be a sponge, and I want to learn as much as I can. And once I get the detail down, then I'll jump in a little bit more.
What kind of, obviously there's only so much overlap between what you're doing offensively on wide receivers and special teams. What kind of makes you say, hey, I want to be a sponge and I want to, relearn that?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is like understanding, why I got into this. And the reason I did was because first and foremost, like I love the impact that I can make on a group of guys and the relationships, the connections that are built there, and just what you can do to help a guy grow on and off the field. And that was first and foremost. And then the second is because I'm passionate about the game. I love the game of football. I enjoy every phase of it. I love offense. I love defense. I love special teams. I love the intricacies that go into strategies within it and certain situations, situational football, all that stuff. Like that's what the game is all about. And there's so much depth to it. I don't ever want to just be pigeonholed into this is all you know. I want to be exposed to all of it. And the more that you know, I think the more that you find out, it carries over. There is actually quite a bit when certain techniques are being taught, whether it's our gunners or whatever that may be, there's certain techniques that are taught when you're winning off the line of scrimmage, when you're a gunner on the punt team that carry over to the wide receiver position, and certain blocking schemes that do the same thing. And so just being a student of the game, like I know I'll never know everything, but I want to try and know as much as I can, because the more that I know, the more knowledge I have, then the more I can simplify it for guys. And that's the biggest thing that you want to do.
You were mentioning the, success in terms of going to some good bowls when you were at Wisconsin. I think it was 3 straight Rose Bowl trips. Of course, not the outcome you would
Right.
like in those 3 straight Rose Bowls, but what was it about those teams that allowed them to kind of reach that level of success that you really don't see every day?
I think a big part of it was the teams were extremely close. There was a bond within the group that everybody felt. It wasn't just on the field; it was off the field. It was in the meeting rooms. It was at the training table. Everybody was really well connected. They worked hard. They trusted each other. They respected each other. I think that goes a long way, because then guys were willing to put it out there for each other, and that's ultimately what gave us success during that time. We're incredibly well coached. We were disciplined. And I think also when you look back at those teams, you're the oldest guys, kind of your most veteran guys that were supposed to be playing their best football at that time, they did that. And with the developmental program, that's what it was about. Guys needed some spots where some young guys, stepped up and secured some roles. But the guys that have been in the program and had grown, developed, they need to be playing their best football at that time. And guys did that, across the board at every position. And so you put all those things together, and then that leads to the success that we were fortunate to have. But just that the bond that was among the group, and then guys playing their best football when their best football was needed. They stepped up and certainly did it in the month of November, which we all know that leads to opportunities in the postseason.
Any favorite memories looking back at those teams?
Probably 2010 was really enjoyable for me, only because, I was healthy at the time and a part of it, and had an unbelievable chance to learn. One of my best friends is Scott Tolzien, and so Scotty was the senior quarterback at that time, and that was probably the year where I learned the most. From a mental preparation standpoint, playing the game, just sitting next to him, being with him every day in meetings, after practice, late at night, just the preparation going into a game week. That was really special for me because it forged a friendship that we'll have for life, but also it created a standard for me of preparation and how you need to play this position and play at that level. And so, and then the group of guys, just it was a really fun, enjoyable season. There was some adversity early in the year. We lost to Michigan State, and the rails didn't fall off, and just kept pushing, kept trusting the process. And like I said, that was fun to be a part of and experience the ebbs and flows, and guys responding to them the right way.
What's the key when you suffer kind of an early loss like that to not let, things go off the rails?
I think it's just the consistency and trust in the process. As long as you have faith in the process and you feel confident that your process is right, then you have to trust it. And I think guys, they bought into that. They understood that what we were doing. There's certain things that you can't, you obviously can't compromise, and things lead to losses at times that you got to know. Okay, ball security, whatever those things may be within a game, that change the outcome. Those have to be consistent. But within the week, you don't want to be changing, going from A to Z within a week just because of a loss. You got to evaluate, okay, was there something specific that's kind of been creeping up a little bit and now it got us, and we should have been identifying it several weeks before. So now we do need to change the process, or was it just something that was isolated to that day and the process is still good? You got to stay true to it. And I think that was the biggest thing, going through that with an early loss was, what, this is, we know what we're doing. We know the week to week, we know the preparation is there. We know the care factors there. We just have to continue to progress to get better. And if we trust that process, then we're going to get better each and every day and each week. And the outcomes will reflect that.
And then kind of looking ahead to this year, want to ask you about a couple guys in your room. First of all, the one that I think caught a lot of people's attention when he was first team on the depth chart, Jarriett Buie. What have you kind of seen from him this spring, and what should Hawkeye fans expect to see from him?
Yeah, I've been really excited about Jarriett. He had a really good spring. He's young, and so being young, not only at the level that we're playing at, but then also with a new system that comes in the spring. I think as it slowed down from him, you got to see his ability come out. And so, once it wasn't thinking so much about getting lined up or what my split is, what my route is on this play, what my responsibility is, then you saw the ability that he has. He's a natural catcher. He's got great ball skills. He's a really good route runner. He has a good feel. Doesn't depend on the leverage he's getting faced. I think he's got good awareness, whether it's press, catch, off coverage. He has a plan of attack, and I've been excited about it. Like I said, he had a good spring. There's a lot to build on. I think he continues to grow once he understands where he fits, like we talked about, within progressions, and when you have some freedom to work your route and develop it, and when you got to be there right now because you're one in the progression. That's one of the things, just trying to get him along with the group to understand so that they can maximize their skill set and continue to improve. And he's had a good summer. He's hit the weight room hard. The strength and conditioning staff's done a great job getting him ready. And, just seeing him a week ago, I think he's in a good place and ready to have a good fall camp, and we'll continue to progress. And like I said, got a ways to go, but excited about this season for him.
And then what about Dayton Howard?
Dayton's a guy that really, I think, matured as the spring went along. I think the light bulb started to click a little bit as February, March, getting through that winter phase. And then, like I said, same thing, really getting comfortable within the system. What are my alignments and assignments? And once that started to slow down for him, he's got really good size. He's got good speed for a bigger guy. He can get in and out of his breaks pretty well. And one thing I've noticed, just seeing him after getting through the summer phase, was stressing to him back in May how important this 6, 7 week window is going to be for him, because he's another young guy who, once he grows into his body and develops, he'll be able to use that size and strength even more to an advantage. And I think he looks great right now. I think he had a great summer. He's really progressed. His body's changed, his upper body. You can see the physicalness that, he's taken to in the weight room. And now it's a matter of putting all those things together. And for the whole group, Dayton included, it's a race to see how consistent can we be. Dayton had some really, really good practices throughout the spring, and came on towards the end with some strong days. And now it's the challenge to him, along with the group, is how can we stack those days every single day to grow that consistency. We've set a standard. We see it on tape. We know we can do it. But now it's the consistency piece, and we have to prove that we can do it over and over and over again. And because that's what's reflective in a game. If you can stack practices together, then okay, what's your series to series going to look like within a game? And the more series that you can stack consistently, now you have a complete game. And so that's just what we're trying to develop, is that mindset. And Dayton's his approach has been great. Like I said, I think he's matured quite a bit in the last several months, and he's excited for this fall.
And then kind of on the other end of the age spectrum, Kaden Wetjen, what can he do? And he's somebody that caught my eye in the spring, it seemed.
Yeah, Kaden, the one thing with him is he's got legit speed, and that's something that is a it's a threat to the defense. And he's got the ability to take the top off of the coverage, and I think that's something that we have to use. It's an advantage for us. He's a guy that he is an older guy, and so need to be smart, just because his body just should not beating up his body, because when he is at full speed, then all of a sudden it's different. And as soon as that gear changes a little bit, you want to keep him at that top end speed as often as you can. So just got to be smart with him throughout fall camp so that we can utilize him. He's a great punt returner, obviously, with the legit speed. And anytime that we can get the ball to him in space, or have an opportunity to take the top off of the coverage because of that speed factor, I've been pleased with him. I think he's had a kind of a, a new focus this summer. I feel like he's in a good place, and excited for fall camp, and excited to see him continue to progress. And like the rest of the group, though, it's that consistency piece. That's what we're going to be striving for every day. Can we be the same person and come out to practice that way, and have that same approach each and every day?
And then it's kind of no secret that the wide receiver production the last few years, especially last year, was not probably where you'd like it to be. What's kind of the key in terms of changing that?
I think first and foremost, it's understanding what our job is. And we need to know what we're being asked to do. We need to know what it is, and then we need to know how to do it. And we need to spend a ton of time detailing that so that guys understand it. Because in my opinion, once that job is clearly defined and the how-to is taught in an efficient, effective manner, then we can set a standard. And the standard, the guys need to understand that, okay, this is the standard to it. It's like I said, you put it on tape, you've done it. Now, okay, I'm going to hold you accountable to it. And we have to hold each other accountable to it, so that when we're sitting in a meeting room and all of a sudden we revert back, there's a trust that's already been built there. There's a trust in the room that, hey, no, this isn't what we do. Like we've passed this bridge, and you put it on tape. You've shown me. Now this is the consistency piece. And I think the more guys can feel that day to day, then that frees them up in the game, so that it's not such a pressure packed situation. Like, I haven't done this before. Like, no, you felt the urgency to do it. You should be, that feeling should be comfortable to you. And at the end of the day, we have a job to do, and it doesn't matter. There's no excuses made. We have to do our job. And the part that's fun is when it's clearly defined and guys understand it, and then we spend countless hours detailing how to do it. Then guys grasp that, and they get excited because they know they're coming back to me before I have to approach them. Hey, I didn't do it. My steps were off there. I didn't get my depth. I didn't safety fit in, and I was on a certain blocking pattern, and I didn't get him dug out of there. They know it before, and then they feel that accountability, so that they're feeling that within the day to day. And so I think, my opinion is we don't have to make it complicated, but at the same time, it's not easy. You have to be detailed within your work, and the accountability factor has to be there. And guys got to feel that every day so that we can continue to progress. And that's where I've been so excited about the group, is they have that in them. They're eager to learn. They want to improve. They want to get better. And right now they're just focused on that. And I think if we can keep that mindset of continual improvement and also setting a standard and holding each other accountable to it, we're going to continue to progress and get better each day.
Well, Jon, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. This was fun, and can't wait for the season to get started. It's right around the corner here, and get back into Kinnick this fall.
Yeah, 5-6 weeks at this point.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Yes. And thanks to our listeners for tuning in. Until next time, we will talk Hawks later.